Hello students, in today's session let us learn about the objectives of Goods and Services Tax or GST. I will be using the short form GST in this lecture series. We all know that we are paying GST while buying goods or taking services. As mentioned in the title, let us look at the objectives of GST. Why we have to pay GST? As we all know, nobody likes to pay tax, but GST is charged in the bill and added to the cost of the goods. Thus, whether we like it or not, we have to pay GST. Therefore, in this module, we will discuss about the objectives of GST. Every day, everybody would have heard about the term tax. I am sure that you have heard about two terms in income tax and GST. Taxes are controlled and collected by the government, and whether we would like to pay it or not, we have to pay tax. Tax is divided into two. One is the direct tax and the second is the indirect tax. Now, what is the difference between direct tax and indirect tax? I hope that you know it already, but again I will help you to remember it. As we all know, direct taxes is paid directly by the taxpayer to the government. It can be anybody, that is an individual, company, partnership, NGO, etc. Since it is directly paid by the taxpayer, it is called direct tax, and income tax is the best example for direct tax. I pay income tax on the salary I receive, and it is a direct tax for me. Now, what is indirect tax? If I buy a laptop, GST is added to the bill and it is an indirect tax. But I have not paid GST directly to the government. It is collected from me along with the purchase I made, but it is paid to the government by the shopkeeper. Thus, in indirect tax, the burden of tax is shifted from the producer or seller to the end consumer. Now, let us look at the types of indirect taxes levied by the central government. There are many indirect taxes levied by the central government. Let us look at 6 important indirect taxes levied by the central government before introducing GST. First is the excise duty, which is imposed on the manufacture of goods and passed on to consumers. Second is the service tax, which is imposed by the service providers and collected from customers. Third is the central sales tax, which is levied on the interstate sale of goods. The central sales tax is collected by the originating state, but paid by the buyers in the destination state. Fourth is the excise duty, which is levied on imported and exported goods to regulate international trade. Just like the central government imposed indirect taxes, the state government has also imposed certain indirect taxes before introducing GST. Let us look at the 5 types of indirect taxes levied by the state government before introducing GST. Though there are many indirect taxes imposed by the state government before introducing GST, we will look at only 5 types. First is the value added tax or VAT, which is levied on the sale of goods within a state. Different VAT rates existed across states, leading to non-uniformity. Secondly, the entry tax or octroi, which is imposed on goods entering a state or local municipal area. This indirect tax not only increased the cost for businesses, but also led to delays at checkpoints. Third is the purchase tax, which is levied on the purchase of certain goods. For example, agricultural products like sugarcane and cotton. Interestingly, this indirect tax is paid by the buyer instead of the seller. Fourthly, the entertainment tax, which is levied on movies, concerts, amusement parks and exhibitions. For entertainment tax, different rates are applied in each state. Fifth is the luxury tax, which is applied to luxury services like high-end hotels, resorts and banquet halls. Now, we have to see the problems related to the indirect tax structure before introducing GST. First is the cascading effect. The cascading effect of indirect taxes refers to the tax on tax burden that existed in the pre-GST tax system. It occurred because input tax credit or ITC was not available across different stages of production and distribution. How the cascading effect worked? There were multiple taxes on the same product like excise duty, VAT, sales tax, etc., which was applied at different stages of production and distribution. Moreover, there was no input tax credit system, therefore, businesses paid tax on tax. Again, no set of tax was allowed between different states. Secondly, there was multiple compliance burdens for businesses from both the central and state governments. This led to businesses had to register business units, file returns and pay taxes under various tax laws. The third issue was the non-uniformity in indirect tax rates charged by different states, especially the different VAT rates creating trade barriers between states. Fourth is the higher cost of goods and services. Multiple layers of taxation led to increased prices for consumers. Now, let us look into how GST has replaced these problems mentioned above. As the first step, GST merged most of these indirect taxes into a single unified tax system. Secondly, GST eliminated CST, VAT, service tax, excise duty, entry tax and various state taxes. Thirdly, even after imposing GST, the customs duty still exists, but GST applies to imports in place of CVD, that is countervailing duty, and SAD, that is special additional duty of customers. Now, let us look at what is the outcome of introducing GST in our country. Whether we were able to remove the drawbacks of the indirect tax structure in our country. In order to analyze this, we have to look at the outcome of GST, which is introduced in 2017, and when we look back to 2025, can we say that these things with confidence? Before GST, India had a fragmented and inefficient tax system with multiple indirect taxes at different levels. The introduction of GST streamlined tax collection, reduced compliance cost and created a unified national market. If your answer is yes, from your experience as a customer, wholesaler or retailer, then we have achieved the objectives. If not, we have to still improve. But I feel that the answer is 100% yes from everyone living in this country. The people dealing with our country for national or international transactions and in all walks of life. I hope you got a good insight on the topic we discussed in this module, the objectives of GST. Thank you for your patient listening. Happy learning. Until we meet with the second module, bye from me. Thank you.